Welcome to the Energetics of Codependency, the podcast where we unravel the unseen forces that shape our relationships, our boundaries, and our sense of self. I'm Bridgid Berkano, an energy healer and transformational mentor, here to guide you through the deep embodied work of reclaiming your sovereignty. If you've ever felt trapped in cycles of overgiving, emotional caretaking, or guilt around setting boundaries, you're in the right place. Here, we explore the energetic roots of codependency and how to shift from entanglement to empowerment through somatic awareness, spiritual wisdom, and practical real-world strategies. You don't have to carry what isn't yours. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome. So today we are going to talk about the spiritual petal of the Well Woman's Rose. Today, as I'm recording this, it is March 18th. It is my birthday! Yay! And I really just wanted to start the day talking about spirituality. It is everything to me. I'm a Pisces. And I really feel the interconnection of spirit in everything. And I think it's of service to share about it. So here I am on my birthday, before I head down to the Korean women's spa to do my hydrotherapy. Hot, cold, hot, cold. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. It's like, I'll just do that and after a few times, like after a couple hours of going between hot and cold and hot and cold, the blood rushing to my skin, to my organs, to my skin, to my organs, I just feel like I have a total nervous system reset. It's amazing. If you haven't tried it, do it. And there's something so beautiful about all these women luxuriating together, all different kinds of bodies. You know, you can see surgery scars, there's hair, there's, different shapes, ages, wrinkles, and we're all there to just love on ourselves. So yeah, big plug for the lady spa. Amazing. Love it. I go to Olympus in Linwood. Okay. So spirituality. I was making some notes on this yesterday and it turned into me just like pouring into my computer with a big just rush of all my reflections on spirituality. And I'm a generator in human design, so we are really supposed to go with what lights us up. And I was feeling lit up and in the moment. And so I didn't intend for this podcast to be me reading things, but I will be referencing and probably reading through this essay and then elaborating on it if I feel called. So here we go. Spirituality. It's a tender and delicate subject for me. I mentioned earlier that I was raised in a strict religion that defined God for me, but that was confusing because it didn't feel like the scriptures said it should be. The culture of the church didn't feel transcendent or loving necessarily. It felt, the teachings felt like judgmental and terrifying. So that's my education on God. Like, God is terrifying. God is wrathful. And I could also feel the frequency of love and connection. And I did feel that with some people there at the church. And I've definitely felt that in my childhood. But that was not necessarily what I got from the authorities in the church and, the sermons and everything. So very confusing. And it's a delicate topic for me. Like, I still feel shy talking about my connection with God, much less so. I feel much less shy, but it's still like I have this worry that somebody's going to tell me I'm wrong. And they're going to say, like, you're actually evil. Get out of here. So that's why I say it's a tender topic. It's like, I think spirituality is so personal. It is so, so, so personal. And we are all a unique expression of God. And I'm going to be using a lot of different terminology for God, spirit, source. God, I'm going back to my Catholic days, so God is what we used, but I think you understand what I'm saying. But we are all a unique expression of God, and I think that everything here is a unique expression. And so all these different voices and all these different ideas of what God is, they matter. And so now, this idea of wrathful authority, that is the expression of God that is codependent. That's the shadow to play with, I suppose. When we talk about God and we talk about shadow, shadow is God hiding from God's self. That's what I think. I don't really believe in evil necessarily. I believe in shadow, which is emotions that are shunned and exiled and just waiting to be seen and held. And then codependency is this desire to control another so that the codependent one feels better about themselves.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mom. Happy birthday to you.
Oh my goodness. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Well,
thank you so
card.
much.
Yeah.
I'll open my card and thank you for this chocolate.
Stash it in the appropriate places.
Yeah. Mwah, mwah, mwah. I love you.
Love you too.
Thank you, boys. I love you so much. Thank you for the hugs and the song and the card and the chocolate.
Mom. Yeah. Happy birthday.
Thank you. One more. Oh, that was sweet. Bursted in, captured forever on my microphone. Enjoying some birthday chocolate. Very nice. Very fun. Yeah, I start working in here at like 5:30 in the morning. It's 8:30 right now. So usually they're just kind of like getting up, doing their thing, getting ready. But this morning they burst in with a song. Happy birthday to Mama. Very nice. Okay. What was I saying? Well, I'll just keep going down my notes here. So why do we need spirituality? Why include spirituality in a coaching container? Well, it's, maybe it doesn't appeal to everybody. That's fine. The people who it does appeal to, they will find me. What the function of spirituality plays is it gives meaning. And meaning creates resilience to get through hard times. So like if you're connected with the why of what you're doing, you'll go a lot farther and you'll put your heart into it and operate with the highest intentions. If you're disconnected from your why and from your higher intelligence of, the invisible forces that connect us all, then that leads to loneliness and depression and illness and pain. The concept of a higher power is so useful. It doesn't have to be tied to any religion. It can be something huge and vast like the ocean or water itself or mycelium or air. Whatever inspires a deeper connection to timelessness and awe and something that is bigger and wiser than you and that you can count on to do its thing and you trust in what it's doing. You trust in that deeper wisdom of this higher power. I think that we have such a deep knowing of a higher power as a species, that if we don't focus on a higher power, like as we deeply understand it, we're going to make other things the higher power, if that makes sense. So your concept of a higher power is either conscious or unconscious. So my conscious concept of a higher power is in the interconnectedness of all things. It's in the elements of, fire, air, earth, and water. It's in other spiritual expressions like land spirits, deities, the universe, the stars. Like, that's my conscious depiction of a higher power. No, my unconscious higher power would be, well, it could be making other people my higher power, like being so focused on what somebody else is doing that that is what rules my actions and my thoughts. Or in recovery, we talk about alcohol being the higher power. Like, anything we can do to get more alcohol, that is what we're going to do. And it's an obsession about drinking. It's thinking about drinking all the time, or having it in our system when we're not thinking about it. All of our actions moving towards being able to consume this. That is making alcohol or drugs or sex or money or anything like that. It's making that the higher power. So one way or another, we're going to have a higher power. Or sometimes we're thinking, I am the higher power. I am the highest power. And that's kind of a tricky edge, because I do believe that I have God inside me, and I do believe that I can feel that in my belly. But the dance is to know if it's my brain, like my very, the physical brain tissue and the brain that is, disconnected from everything. It's a dance to know if that is the higher power of the moment, or if it comes from this conscious belly sense of rightness in the world. So that's always the thing that I'm trying to figure out every day is, what does God really feel like in my belly? And that expression of trust your gut, that's true for most people. And everything that I ever say is going to have an exception, and there's always a divine paradox in everything. So trust your belly. I think for most people, this is the truth. However, there's a lot of shadow that gets stored up in our belly and wrapped around that sense of truth and rightness. But also, I think it's like 2% of the population are supposed to have mental authority. And I'm talking in human design terms. There's different forms of authority. We're talking about higher power and authority, kind of synonymous. So there's the sacral authority, which is, most people have sacral authority. It's very gut induced. Then there's emotional authority, which means you're supposed to let your emotions run their course, and then you get your wisdom. Then there's splenic authority, which is, kind of another kind of gut instinct. And then there's mental authority, which actually my son has mental authority. And it's really interesting to raise him, because his higher wisdom doesn't come from the same sort of zone that mine does, or my husband's, or my other son. They're both emotional authority. So yeah, my 8-year-old is actually one of the very few people who's not supposed to listen to his gut. He's supposed to logic his way through life, and that is the highest wisdom for him, because everything else is more transient. All of his other energy centers are open, so he's feeling the whole world around him, and then his brain, his mind, and his inspiration are the things that he has a more consistent connection with. Oh, and then there's another one called lunar authority for a reflector. That's very, very rare, even more rare than a mental projector, I think. And all of their centers are open, so they are totally, completely open to the world around, and they're supposed to wait for an entire lunar cycle before they make a decision. So those are fringe, probably not who I'm talking to right now. I'm a pure generator. I'm basic. I am basic. in my sacral authority. But yeah, I believe that connecting to our authority in human design connects us to the felt sense of a higher power. So, okay, I said something really cool about this. Let me go back and read what I actually wrote. So, either I'm the highest power and I become an egomaniac sociopath, or I think others are the higher power and I give them way more control over me than I should. When I believe there's a force greater than all of us, it gives me a lot of peace because I have the same point of connection as anybody else who talks to God. There's no interface, there's no gatekeeper to God. And also, I am just as liable to trip up and make mistakes. And that's okay. I'm not the highest power. It puts me in right relationship and connection with all things once I tap into that frequency that we're all here together. And of course, I believe that humans are here incarnated to have free will, which is also God given and therefore holy. If free will was given by God, then how could it possibly lead to evil? Like, what is evil? There's shadow, which is emotion that wants to be seen, but I don't believe in actual evil. And I think I'm repeating myself at this point. Shunning evil creates more rejection and more shadow and more chaos. So going with this whole idea that some things are evil, I just don't think it's helpful. It creates a lot of fear. And I'll talk about spiritual fear later and how I overcame my spiritual fear. So, one way that I believe we are all connected, and you don't have to believe this, I'm just sharing what I resonate with, is I believe that there are many, many spiritual entities that mix and mingle all around us and inside of us. There are land spirits, animal spirits, there's human ghosts. There's deities, there's gods and goddesses, and there's like globs of indescribable clouds of stored energy. There's just all different ethereal forms of spirit. And the spiritual world is diverse. I haven't met them all, and I probably won't. Just like, different plants have different characteristics and jobs, so do spirits. And the Catholic Church that I was raised in, it actually appropriated a lot of pagan and polytheistic traditions and then took these deities and called them saints. Like Bridgid. Bridgid is a goddess and a saint. I was talking with an Irish girl my age, hi Karen, and she said that Bridgid was a concept of like the great Earth Mother. And then this human came in and she was so magical that people were like, you are Bridgid. And the Saint Bridgid in the Catholic tradition, she was this human who performed miracles and did amazing things and led this whole society. So the concept of saints, you're supposed to pray to a saint and then the saint will pass your message along to God. And saints were people, so they had a more physical form and they're more understanding of human issues. So saints are kind of like the spiritual interface to God. And that was taken from pagan concepts. And now I feel very comfortable praying to, trees. Like I think trees are tapped into God more than I am. Or the ocean, or land spirits that sort of hold the essence of the land. And so if you're ever trying to connect with something like this, you can introduce yourself by offering something. A song is a great thing to offer. Or you might, look into the indigenous people who have stewarded the land that you're on for a long time and, see what they offer. And it's just a great way to show respect. I know in North America, tobacco is a common thing to offer. And if I'm just hiking around and I want to connect with a place and I have some tobacco on me, Like there's a clear point of before I drop the tobacco and after I drop the tobacco. I drop the tobacco and I feel this total rush of energy wash over me. And it's like, okay, I've made the bridge. They're like, okay, you see me, you acknowledge me, we're here together. And then that's when I receive healing. So giving something of yourself, and it can just be a song, it can be a hello, it could be putting your heart energy into the space. And, the more you do this consistently over time, the stronger of a bridge you'll get with this place. It's a really beautiful, beautiful way to connect to the land that I highly encourage. I'm just stumbling through this. I am a settler on the lands of the Coast Salish people. My family's been here for 3 generations. My grandparents were born here. We love it, but we don't necessarily know the customs that the land is used to. So it's always really important to check in with the indigenous people where you live and look to them for guidance because they know how to talk to their land. Some practices are only for them, and some practices they would be happy to tell you. And in my experience, like those spirits are very happy to receive this. And so the spiritual world is diverse, and your heart and your love and your intention is the frequency that is being communicated. So proceed with respect, but please proceed. Just proceed. I just want to make sure that I emphasize the importance of spirituality because I'm getting into a lot of stuff about like the how I talk to spirit and what I think spirit is. But no matter what I think spirit is, just the function of it cannot be stressed enough how useful it is to feel the pulse of God within you and to be connected to that. There's this expression that leaders go first, and a leader holds the vision of what they want to see in the world or for their community. And being a leader in your life, it's like you're going to be bumping up against other people. Like being a leader means that others don't necessarily agree with you. But feeling that you are a part of something greater and trusting that plan, that's what other people can feel, and that's what they will choose to follow or choose to support. And that's what's driving me to make this podcast. I am perfectly happy to just live my little life and, dance around and drink tea with spirits and do my own thing. But I'm feeling this calling to be of service and to share my unique perspective with the world. And I have a lot of fear around sharing my unique perspective because we're in a time where there's a lot of fighting going on. There's so much division. I am feeling that in my own family, in my own personal relationships. It's just a huge toss up right now. And there's an expression that my acupuncturist shared with me. It's everybody wants a transformation, but nobody wants to be around while it's happening. So whatever you think about the political climate, it's a transformation, whatever it is. I talk about going through something really hard in my life and all the things that I learned from it. So hopefully if we're all proceeding conscientiously and we are listening to each other and remembering the frequency of love and remembering that we're in this together, even those people that you disagree with, if you can hold that spiritual connection where you feel the vision and you can lead yourself there and others will also feel led, like that's something they want to hold on to, then I think we're going to be okay. So one cool thing about working with different land spirits or different deities is you can call them up from anywhere For one, they just exist, and there's no block except for the blocks that exist within you. They'll just show up for you. And there's something that I learned about in my parent coaching education. It's called mirror neurons. And it's a word for how people react to each other. Like if you are calm, your child will soak up your calm. They will take your calm as an indication that it is okay for them to be calm. And if I see a happy, laughing person, chances are it's probably going to cheer me up a little bit. These are mirror neurons where we respond to each other. And so the same principle can be applied for these deities and spirits. When we consciously connect with a spiritual frequency, we pick up some of those traits. So like lighting a candle and watching this candle, like see if you can feel the glow of your own solar plexus. Like imagine that the candle is in your belly, your solar plexus or your third chakra. It's just a little bit above your belly button. And see how that sort of changes your energy. That's what I'm talking about. It's this conscious connection with other energies and frequencies. And codependency is connecting with other people and other frequencies and energies unconsciously. So, if you're watching a lot of media that is very negative, very materialistic, very frightening, unless you are really holding true to your spiritual boundaries, it will have an effect on you. You will soak it up. And that's just how things work. So when I was plunged into the forest, after being an urbanite for 27 years, when I was plunged into the forest, my husband and I both lost our jobs the week our first son was born. Isn't that crazy? Just like I'm like, this is crazy. When it was happening, I thought this was totally crazy. And somebody told me, when some big shakeup like this happens, it's usually a blessing. And I can see now that it was a blessing. It was an incredibly difficult time, but it shaped me in many ways. And here I am to share the skills that I learned through that entire experience. So we had this cute little apartment in Seattle, and we ended up moving to the deep woods of Tulalip, where Joe's family's been for a long time. And we got this cabin for super cheap, and we were just going to stay the winter there. And I had never been so immersed in nature for so long. And with the quieting of my mind, my schedule, I wasn't hearing road noise. I wasn't seeing a lot of people. There wasn't so much man-made material around me. I started to see the spirits around me. I saw 9-foot tall diamonds huddled together in my kitchen. I saw spindly floating orbs floating around at night. I saw faces on trees. And honestly, it was terrifying because I didn't know how to rest. Like my eyes would just be wide open all night. And I didn't know what was going on. I was really scared. And I had wanted to tap more into spiritual awareness. Like when I was pregnant with this baby, I started studying Reiki, and it was definitely an intention of mine to grow in healing gifts and awareness because I always thought it was really cool. But then here, like I was plunged into this situation, and it's amazing how the universe will give us what we ask for, right? I was really deeply longing for this, and then God's story of my life, and then it's happening, and like, oh no, what do I do? And that's just been happening over and over. But that's the gift. It's like, here's the way. If you really want this, just keep walking. I got really good advice on how to manage that spiritual fear because I was not geared up for it As a child, I was taught that anything besides the Christian God was evil and should not be considered. Do not pay attention, do not engage. But I could not deny my awareness of this diversity. And I thought, this can't all be evil. There's just no way. Like, these people don't seem evil. They seem like they really have a sense of peace and love. And I want that. So I had to learn to speak this language, and I had to learn to walk this path under fire. And there are two things that I learned that really, really helped me out. And this is my advice for you if you're moving into a more open form of spirituality and you want to connect authentically and you want to become a skilled spiritual communicator. So, number one is strengthen your root chakra. And listen to episode 2 if you need to know more about what that is. The root chakra is what anchors our spirit into our bodies, and our bodies are an expression of the earth. My teacher told me that when she started really opening up to spiritual activity, she was told to strengthen her root chakra, or else these entities would kind of like come and populate her body, and she was like in over her head. So when your spirit is tethered into your body and you're really occupying the space in your body, there isn't room for things that don't align. So that is your best spiritual boundary that you can have, is a strong root chakra. Grounding isn't something that you do once and then it's over. It's a practice. It's being in the body, and the body needs to move every day. And so as I became more connected with my body, my sleep improved because I felt like I had more of a right to hold my space and hold my ground there. And I wasn't just subject to whatever like flashing spirits want to chat me up at the time. Because they will, like, they see you as a bright light and they want to come and run up and talk to you. And like, they don't have the same needs that our physical body does of rest and space. So they're just kind of going all the time. So you really need to learn that sort of energetic boundary. And then you can tell what entities align with you, and you can choose to do business with ones that feel right. Which brings me to my next tip is I started to think of spiritual contact like I'm going on public transportation. So there are some people that I, might make eye contact with and smile. There are some people who I definitely don't want to talk to. There are some people who want to talk to me. There are some who are just going about their business and I can see them, but they don't really care if I'm there or not. I might see an old friend there, like an ancestor, or I might make a new friend. I have made new friends on the bus. So spiritual contact stopped being this scary, evil thing that I shouldn't approach, and it started being a natural part of daily life. And the spiritual petal of the well woman's rose, it's really there to connect all parts. Spirit weaves through everything. And there's this word, animism. It's a sort of belief system where everything is animated. And it's the oldest human concept of spirituality, and it's what makes the most sense to me. So pagans are animist, indigenous and earth-based spiritualities are animist. But again, I want you to know that I have great coaching relationships with other religions, and I deeply respect the diversity of expressions of God, and I trust you to feel it for yourself. And I long to help you uncover your own unique relationship with spirit and access it for yourself. I think that God wants to speak through you, and that's one of the greatest joys I have, is helping people access that frequency within themselves. But if you're really interested in this earth-based spirituality, I have a free offer on my website to help you build a grounded spiritual practice Because again, like the more you show up, the stronger relationship you will have with your surroundings. So in my free offer, I describe ritual. It's a 4-step ritual, and I break it down to why the 4 steps are important. And then they can be applied for so many different things, but there's 4 basic elements of a ritual, and you want a ritual to create a container of time to say, like, this time that I'm spending is special and it's different from all the other time when I'm not really thinking about it. So ritual is great for grounding spirituality and consciously connecting the spirit and inviting the spirit into the physical world. And also, we are physical beings, so it is to show our brains and our bodies a sort of change that is occurring, or a sort of like fortification of our intention. So it's a way to combine physical and spiritual intelligence, and it's a sort of technology. So the 4 steps of ritual that are in my free offer, first you open. You just say, okay, it's starting. And I have different ways to do that. And then the next is you release. Out with the old. There are different practices for doing this. Then the next is you fill the space. So you've just let go of what you want to get rid of. And then now, what are you putting into it? It's very intentional. Because if you don't intentionally put something in after you release, it's going to fill up with unconscious crap or what you just released. So this is how to use the technology properly. So you consciously put something in to fill the space. And then the 4th step is to close. Say, okay, that was it. Thank you to all the spirits who showed up for this. This caps the time. And it really, it just creates a potent container. You can't make soup without a pot. So that's the function of ritual. So go ahead and go to bridgidberkano.com, and right there on the first page, sign up. Just stick your email address in there, and you will get a more lengthy guide to ritual, a transformational ritual. Okay, so I think that's all I have to say now. I'm going to go get some more birthday hugs from my sweet boys, and thank you for letting me share.
Thank you for tuning in to the Energetics of Codependency. If today's episode spoke to you, I'd love for you to share it with someone who needs to hear this. And if you're feeling called to dive deeper, join me inside the 5 petals of the Well Woman's Rose, where we do the real embodied work of transforming these patterns at the root. You can find all the details at bridgidberkano.com or connect with me on Instagram, bridgid.berkano. I'd love to hear your biggest takeaway from today's episode, so send me a DM and let's continue the conversation. Before you go, be sure to follow the show and leave a quick review. Your support helps bring this work to more people who need it. Until next time, I'll leave you with my personal favorite motto after we do group work. Here it is. What's mine is mine. What's yours is yours. What's ours is ours. Take care. See you soon.